I mean, considering where life is right now and the state of the economy, I'm doing what I can.
It's either way my bank account is set up.
It's not set up. That's the problem.
It ain't set up. That is the problem.
Set up.
It ain't never been set up.
It's not set up. Hi, and welcome back to TashTalk. My name is Tash, where we have real conversations about life and creativity. Today's guest, you probably know best as Philippa in The Witcher on Netflix. However, to me, she is a pal. She is a confidant. And if you threw a party, she'd invite everyone you knew. It is my golden girl, Cassie Clare.
Thank you for being a friend.
Whoa,
Travel down the road and back.
So we started from the bottom, now we're here, girl.
Thank you.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm happy to see you. I'm
Good.
fine.
I've brought you here because I tend to have quite a lot of conversations like this with you in your home, in your humble abode, you know, and I thought if I'm going to have a podcast about real conversations on life and creativity, who better than to bring than you?
Because we get real.
Because we get real. How have you been since the last time I saw you, which was like 2 weeks ago?
How have I been in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, how have you been in the last 2 weeks since I last saw you?
Really good, actually. I feel like the last 2 weeks has felt like almost like a wrapping up. Obviously, the year is wrapping itself up, but it's felt like a wrap up of all the extremely rapid lessons that have been coming at all of us thick and fast this year. It's fine, it's Mars retrograde for the whole year. It's fine, I can make it. Woo. And it's funny because I remember once at some point this year, I said to somebody, they were like, how do you feel? Like that. And I was about to do, you know, the normal, like, I'm all right, how are you? And instead I just went, you know, I feel like I'm a hammer in a bag in a washing machine.
Oh.
Do you get what I mean? Just that, just round.
Just right in the washing machine.
And she was like, I get it.
Yeah.
And it's like that. The last 2 weeks have felt like almost like the wrapping up of those rapid lessons and like, you know, when you have the debrief almost and you get to like process and compile the lessons together and see where they're connected and be like, and then if you actually deep it, I think if all of us sat down for a minute, we would all probably feel like we've come a long way this year in our own ways. Everybody's been on different journeys, but it's been a journey.
Remember my birthday in the cabin for my 30th?
Take me back right now.
Please, because
Actually, we need to speak about that afterwards because we're going soon.
But I remember you gave me a gift, and the gift was a 5-year diary. And as I'm getting towards the end of this year, I've gone back to January the 1st and just seeing how much has changed since January the 1st, 2024, up until November to something. I mean, you'll probably see this later in 2025, but you know, in the space of 11 months, just seeing how much has changed. And then it also reminded me as well, when I spoke to Chippo, because Chippo was on the podcast recently.
We love.
That I've known you for over 15 years.
Which means we met when I was 1 year old.
Basically.
So...
And that's wild like because I don't think many friendships last that long.
Let's do 3 slaps. That was unprofessional.
That wasn't practical either, but
I thought it was going to tap, tap, tap. You know, like, have you seen that, the Keke Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya film? I've forgotten the name of it right now.
No.
But they always use this moment in the trailer, and it's such a beautiful moment of like black joy for me. And she's sat on top of a car, and he says something, I can't remember what he's talking about, some plan. And she goes, that's it, boy. And they just do, tap, tap, tap. And it's just,
culture.
And that's how I feel like when we just sync.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's how we do. That's how we do. But we've known each other, and that's why we are at the place that we are at in our 15 years. I'm also interested in what your life was like before I met you.
Ooh.
Because the person that I met at 14, however old I was, 12, 2.
Stop doing the maths.
is, I'm sure, partially different from the person who it was growing up.
Well,
you know? So what was life like before I met you?
Okay, before I answer that, maybe you could help me with, in the 15 years that you've known me, not me asking questions on your, wait a minute, give me the paper. In the 15 years that we've known each other, can you like compare the first Cass that you met to Cass now? And like, do they feel like the same person or like?
Yeah.
I don't know what the right answer is, but do you get what I mean? At my core, it's the same or like? At
your core, it's the same, but I think the blessing for me is being able to see the evolution of that core. Like, and so when I think back to one of the first times I met you, which was when you was in Youth Academy at Urdang, I was in Adapt at Urdang. Well, first and foremost, just side note, I did not anticipate at all that our friendship would develop the way it did.
We didn't get to move in the like same circles regularly. And, do you get what I mean? It was like,
and even when you think about it, like first year when we first started training together, even then it hadn't fully cemented.
No.
And then third year came and then it just...
Boom. But if you think about it, do you not think that was because we were in the same cast together?
And we were going through the same... we were going through the same...
roller coaster ride. But that's actually interesting. I've only just deeped this now. Because I really vividly remember being like sat there with you in those rehearsal rooms. I can see like we had a big script.
Thick. It was thick.
So we like it. It's there, the script's in, and we're like here and we're like going through this difficult Sondheim music and like going through the roller coaster of life together. But now I've just deeped it. Like that was the first time we were experiencing the same life lessons from different perspectives.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where the friendship grew because we just got to spend time properly, regularly for the first time because we were doing rehearsals every day. And because we started being like, you're going through the same and your perspective is helping me. And that's why this friendship is so valuable to me. Like, I think you know that I don't have loads of friends because in my mind it's like acquaintance, chosen family.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be that middle gap no more. There's not friend anymore. Yeah. Acquaintance, and bear in mind, I love and respect everybody, so that's going to feel great, close friendship. But really, it's, for me in my brain, acquaintance, my chosen family.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about my chosen family is like the way we inspire each other, the way we uplift each other, the laughter, the jokes, the always encouraging each other to be as authentic as possible and bringing out every part of you is welcome. But then it's like somehow we can like all not talk for loads of time. And we check back in, it's like that classic thing that everybody says about, it's like no time's passed. But even more than that, our lives are running on similar trajectories.
Yeah.
We'll come back together and in different ways, we've all been learning the same lesson.
Facts.
And we like compare notes and receipts and be like, but what did you learn from it?
Yeah.
And then it feels to me like, what a beautiful gift when people offer you their perspective and their experience. Because then it's like you hand me your glasses that you see the world through. And I get to add that lens to my lens. And now I see more.
It's like doubling the growth. It's
you
like
get what I
it's
mean?
multiplying. It's just exponential, you know?
Because if we are all separate parts of the same consciousness looking at different things from different angles, the more angles you can get and bring together, the more you get of the universal truth, isn't it?
Yeah. I kind of want to touch back on to like prior to meeting you.
Yes.
Because...
Sorry.
No, absolutely. Because I'm
this is
more...
one thing about us. I'll take a tangent.
We will take you on a tangent.
I'll take a tangent. You better
out
rein me
part
in.
2.
See you in 4 weeks' time when we
4-part
finish
series.
this question. My bad.
No, it's fine. Because, and the reason why I want to touch back, because I think there's so much value before I even met you. Because when I look at the star that you are, in my opinion, and then I also look at the fact that your brother is also a star, Sean Clare.
Legend. Sean Clare, football.
He's a footballer. You're an actor. Which let's be
Mad
honest.
thing is, he can act, dance, sing better than me.
Well, exactly. So that's just his title, and that's just your title, an actor. Let alone all the other things that you both can do as individuals. I think both of you have selected and been successful in career paths that are hard to master by themselves individually. But the fact that both of you have able to master each of your crafts, right now I'm interested in, what was your growing up environment like? What was it like to grow up in an environment by which you were essentially allowed to flourish so beautifully, in my opinion? Like, what was that like?
It's really interesting because when I talk to friends and colleagues and you hear their experience and how it differs to yours, it helps you to look back with even more gratitude for your upbringing or your parents or things like what you're saying. Like we were so lucky that our parents were open to us experiencing these things. Now, I also think that we both happened to go into the fields that naturally I think my parents wanted to go into. So I think that played a huge part.
Interesting.
So when my mum was younger in Ghana, she said, I want to be a dancer. I don't like that because as it was a concept of a job, a work. What do you mean by dancer? What do you mean by dancer? And so I think it was almost natural for her to encourage me into that.
Interesting.
And then Dad has always been a singer, and he's led us into that, and has always loved theatre and musicals. So he was the one that showed me Singing in the Rain, which was my first musical when I was 2. And I've only heard the story, but you can imagine I'm hyper now. Like, imagine like a 2-year-old me just like hyper. He was like, I think the way he tells the story is like, it's like one of the first times he saw me just sit down.
Yeah.
And he put this musical on. I sat in front of the TV like this. And I just sat there still for 2 hours. He was like, I better go do some chores quick. Like, and he went to utilize the time. And he said, when the film finished, I came up to him, pulled him on the trousers. I was like, again. And they just sat me down and I was... So it comes naturally from them. Like my dad was a footballer. He had a bad injury. Yeah. And he led my brother into football. At the same time, they did expose us to like all these other things as well. Like my brother used to do hockey and tennis and that's why I was saying like sometimes you hear other people's experiences and whether it's about different cultures, different age of parents and all, whether it's about the class system, whatever, like not everybody got even a chance to have a parent be like, yeah, you can go to dance school. Some kids had to fight from young to be like, I'm going to class even. Now, don't get me wrong. When I turned around and said, I'm going Urdang to study BA Hons in professional dance and musical theatre, my mum said, for what?
Ironically, Chifo had the same situation.
And I was confused because I was like, but you're the one who's been taking me to all the classes and you took me to National Youth Theatre, you took me to the National Ballet, you were the one who was encouraging me. But they were being parents. They were making sure you had somewhere to go in the holidays when they were working.
Yeah.
They were, yeah. And so I think then the projection of fear then became like, well, how's that going to work out for money and stability? And so it all comes from a place of love. They're not trying to squash your dreams, but their dreams were squashed.
Yeah. It's ironic because it's like, it's almost like a double-edged sword where they've encouraged you to, pursue the same dreams that they weren't able to pursue.
I'm off to do it.
And they're like, wait a minute.
Because what you're not going to do.
And so it's like, I don't know, that must have been tough for you. I think I come from a similar situation where like my earliest memory was watching MTV Base in the early 2000s, seeing Cisco in Thong Song, and just being like, oh my gosh, like how do I get on the other side of that screen? Like,
do that?
Who do I need to speak to?
I remember that. That's spark of creation.
That for me is the earliest thing that made me go, oh my gosh, I know where I want to be. I want to be on screen.
And look how you look now.
And
ooh,
here we are.
So scandalous. And you don't get handle this. And you're taking that
thing. Like, who's that? You get me? And so I guess, I mean, it's a beautiful thing because, full circle moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it must have been a struggle to kind of like be led down a path and then to be like, wait, where you going?
Where do you think you're going?
The same path that you put me on.
So the story of why I started dancing is because when I was younger, I used to walk on my tippy toes.
Ooh.
And I never put my heels down. Sometimes, when your family tell you stories, you don't know how much of it is true. But anyway, the story goes that my mum took us back to Ghana for a holiday and some old elders in the family were like, my God, she's disabled. Oh, look how she's walking. Ooh. And, they were a bit worried about it. She brought me back to London. I went to nursery and she was stood there next to one of the teachers one day looking at her child walking on like a princess. And she said, I don't know what to do about the way she's walking. And the woman just went, she hasn't got anything wrong with her legs. She just wants to dance. And that's like the origin story. And so my mum took me to about to turn 3. And that's when I started the dance stuff. And then it must have been like, I'm not being funny, like 5, 6, when people are like, what do you want to be when you're older? And I was like, choreographer. I couldn't even say it properly. Choreographer. Yeah, choreographer. And my dad was like, well, you might want to learn how to spell it then.
First of all. Mad business.
And he said that in a way like, well, his energy is like, well, get serious, get into it, learn how to spell it, learn how to do, that's where it came from. And so, it's been such a huge part of just like who I am. It wasn't even like, of course, representation matters. So I think there was a lot like, can I do this? Like you were saying, until you see someone who looks like you, you're like, I can. So I was like, I know, I don't know where my place is in this, but this is me.
Yeah, and I want to do it.
There wasn't any other option. There wasn't another, and if I don't, then I'll. So when I turn around, like, obviously this is the next step. You go to uni, you study at a dance school. So when I turned around, they was like, huh? I said, what
was there to do?
This was the band.
You want me to U-turn and go into biomed? Like,
I can't.
This is it. I want to touch on our time training, or at least your experience of your time while we trained.
Yeah.
We both have very slim body types, naturally slim body types. As a female, being slim was almost a good thing around that time. And so did you experience a similar thing to me in terms of like being perceived or being on the receiving end of any criticism about, being a slimmer female at that time?
I think that's really interesting because it wasn't for quite a lot of years until we came out that I think we'd all ended up having conversations a bit like this, like swapping notes. And I think we had to like process it for a while before we could.
Mm-hmm.
That you expressed your experience to me, and there was quite a wake up call because I think we all knew that everybody had gone through it in their own way, but that was even training next to you. That had kind of gone over my head that this was the messaging that the Mandem were getting. We were hearing about the gym. We were hearing about if you don't have muscles, if you don't have abs, if you don't. And I get it because it does stem from the industry. I got that. But the truth is, we were babies.
Yeah.
And we were children. And there were a lot of people there who were away from home without parents to reference those messages on. And so it's something that I actually still struggle with, which is like in our society, it's supposedly more acceptable to be my kind of body figure. But if we start actually looking at the intersections of like the European beauty standards and what is natural and what there's this real conflict, I think, amongst all of us between like what we want, what we really want, and what we think we should want and what we're told to want.
Yes.
And so I have a lot of like conflicting messages. So it's like at school, as you're saying, like maybe some of my peers or maybe some of the teachers might make positive compliments. But often that would come from the women, and often that's coming from a place of, you bitch. Because they're being taught like, well, why are you not looking like that? So if they're to celebrate me, it's from a place of, you look great, you bitch. Like I got a card the other day. It was a really lovely card and a beautiful lady who I love. And she said something like, all these lovely messages at the end. She went, and you always look so beautiful, in brackets, you bitch. And it made me laugh, and I laughed like that. But then I was almost like, it was a relief because at least you said it out loud because we know what it is.
Yeah.
But it comes like that. The compliments come from, oh, you look lovely, and in the back I can hear, I wish I looked like that, you bitch. And all people will say things to me like, what do you do to stay so skinny? Actually, when that conflicts with some of the other messaging we're getting, which is like, I'm attracted to people with melanin. People with melanin like bundas.
Yes. Yeah.
They like the boobies. They like the slim thick. I just bring in the slim.
Where can I buy the thick?
And baby, don't get me wrong, like I make up for other ways.
Yeah.
Like I'll serve some face. Like I'll serve some legs.
Can you do that? Can you do that?
We all make up for it in other ways. But literally, like I met somebody not that long ago and literally just a little touch up because I'm a lady. Spread the news. Because I can't say this again. I'm not doing nothing with y'all when I meet y'all on the first day. What y'all think this is?
She's a lady.
So just a little, like in Bridgerton. Sir. God. One of those moments. And I just like, this is a big Nigerian man. His hands cover my whole, like, and in the back of your mind, you're hearing like, does he want like a Kim K body? Does he want... And so I was talking to some friends, and you can tell me if this is the same for y'all, but we were all getting different messaging at school, regardless of what you looked like or whatever. Everybody's getting the message that whatever you are is not good enough.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm looking at the thick girlies like, I want to get like that. Because that's like womanly and I look like a pencil or a lost boy in a field. Like, that's what I feel sometimes. Do you get what I mean? It's all the conflicting messaging. I was getting messaging when I was younger, like, why don't you have boobies?
What do you want to do?
Have absolutely no hip. And I'm here like, as a child, like where am I supposed to?
Let me find it.
Sorry, you made me.
My bad. Let me go and grab that.
And then other things start conflicting messaging that we had at school as well, which is about colorism, racism, all sorts. So from one side, you're celebrated because you're lighty. From one side, you're celebrated because you're African. From one side, you're not celebrated because you're lighty. And one side, you're not celebrated because you're African. Like, there's no space where it was just like... Bleh.
I definitely experienced that. And I think it's good that you highlighted the difference between not only your body type, but also your color as well. Because for us, as a black man, you was expected to be... But then if you was a white boy, you was allowed to be skinny. You was allowed to be twinky. And it's like, so then becomes like the connotations between, all right, cool. So what you're saying is that if I'm black, then I'm not immediately good at classical dance. You know, it means that I don't fit that mold. So I must be the hench street dancer. Yeah. You get me?
Because that's the only space for you. So you need to try and fit in.
You feel me? And then ironically as well, I think the thing for me that really kind of pissed me off, if I'm honest, is that post us leaving after 2013, it became fashionable to be the young, skinny, mixed race slash black boy. You get me?
Yeah.
And so who's flexible as well, you know, and who can do technical stuff. And so I was kind of like, you sent me and so many other young people through the ringer for 3 years, projecting all your own fears and insecurities on us, you know, for then, you know, to then be subject to the industry changing and you going, oh yeah, we want your kind now. We want you guys to come back. Like, this is what we want now, you know? And I'm like,
could we make money off you now?
yeah, this is it. And so you end up feeling like a commodity, you know?
It's interesting because I think I had a therapy session once where the therapist said it's interesting because every parent or guardian, whatever, is preparing their children for a world that doesn't exist anymore. And when you just said that, I kind of thought of that as well. And it's not to remove responsibility, but it's almost like they were preparing us for an industry that either they used to be in or didn't get to be in. Yeah. That they used to be in. And that industry was already over when we were training.
Yeah.
So even as we came out, like you said, some of those rules or some of the things like you're not going to get a job unless you look like Cassie changed. Because actually...
It's a lie. It's a lie.
We want to see all the girlies on the catwalks. We want to see all the girlies dancing behind the artists and doing the...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Did you find that you got more critiques when you went into the working world? Or was it worse during school?
Funnily, I would say, and again, it's because I've always been naturally slim. My parents are like that. It's just our build. Like, our metabolism in our family is just super high. If we want, like, we have to work at building weight. And I know that when people hear that, they're like...
But it's not
These are the
easy.
facts. And like when you're on the other side of the spectrum, people don't want to hear it because it's not the same. Like the way our society cusses people who are larger than they are small, like it's not the same.
Absolutely.
So you can't compare it. But there are versions of pros and cons.
Absolutely.
For both. So actually, interestingly, because I think, you know, this was still very much before like Kim K and them man started like co-opting African bodies. And putting it all up on themselves. And, you know, Cardi B came and everybody started celebrating that proper, like, hourglass figure game, which I actually think is a more natural, it's closer to our natural desires. You know, I was training in the time where it was like the models and the American Secret girls. So the skinnier the better, the less bum the better. Like if you look like Kate Moss, heroin chic, hallelujah. And I'm here like, you know, hearing at home like, why are you so skinny? And then going to school and being celebrated like, wow, you're so skinny.
Good.
It's confusing messaging. But really, I feel like I didn't get a lot of the negative body stuff going on at school because I was acceptable.
Nice.
And because I was light as well, so I wasn't getting as much of the racial stuff or anything like that. I was getting more things like this, the underlying messaging of like, because of your heritage, that's why your turnout's bad. And like, so I was getting those complications like, oh, this is why I'm not good at ballet. Or like, gag as I was. Like,
Yeah. And if you compare me to everyone else in my class.
And even like, if you think about when we were all learning how to sing, when so many people came with amazing voices and we were all broken down instead of built up. So we spent like the whole first couple of years learning a style of singing that our voices were probably never going to mimic, instead of teaching us how to use our voices in that style. And we did this the other day. You were singing a song for me and I could feel it like in our bodies. It's just like that kind of conditioning that's been put in there to be like, don't go with your instinct because it's wrong.
Go back to the
Go
textbook.
to the training. And actually the training has like unraveled what is natural and pure. And so sometimes I think that people who never train at all are like freer because they don't have some of these things where they're overthinking it. And then you just stopped thinking about what it should sound like, sung it, and I was fucking bawling my eyes out.
And it worked.
I was bawling my eyes out.
It worked.
And it just frustrated me a bit because it's like, oh, we're still unraveling. And don't get me wrong, this is not like, I personally don't have like much anger or hate to that school in particular or those teachers in particular because as I've come out and learnt about other drama schools and other institutions in general, it's not even just the dance schools and the drama schools. The modelling kids have got it mad. The ballet kids, like,
toxic.
It seems to be the nature of these institutions, however they were built or whatever.
Yeah.
I also feel excited knowing that like people like you and myself, so many people are going out there, and I know people, my peers, who are now like writing curriculums.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would have loved to have trained under the curriculum.
Yeah.
So I feel hopeful as well as like you said, it was it was the roughest time. It was the best of time. You don't really, unfortunately, we don't really learn much from the easy comfort times.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't take it back because the level of training I got mentally is what has prepared me for this industry. Like 150%, I would not be where I am now if it wasn't for that side of the training, even more than the practical.
Was there anything from Urdang specifically that kind of prepared you for the working world?
Yeah, it almost makes me feel sad, but I'm glad. The industry is so tough. I think some of the best lessons I learned from that school and like early days coming out is like in our world a little bit, and main is highlighted in our industry, people don't celebrate you when you're doing well. Have you heard that Cat Williams thing, like haters gonna hate, and they only hate on like good stuff? So it almost made me realize, like, in our industry you have to take the backhanded compliments as the only, because that's the only compliment you can get.
Grab what you can.
Get what you can.
Grab what you can.
And you have to reverse engineer it. Because in our industry, if you walk out of this place with bag of friend and everybody keying with you, it's because all of it, they don't feel threatened by you. You didn't do nothing good.
Yeah. Ooh.
You didn't do nothing good.
And
you know, that was over the education. But the main time that landed in my brain was like early auditions coming out of uni. Mm-hmm. I was going in there like, you know, you're nervous. And you know me, I love to chat to people. So I'll be in the waiting room and I'm making friends with everybody. And you go in with there and now you've got like 5 new friends, you're kicking. And oh, girl, you better stop. You learn the dance, you get split up into groups, you do the dance. God, I hope I get it. God, I hope I get it. And you come back to the side of the room and you're like, and you look at your new friends and all of a sudden they're like,
oh,
walk out, never hear from them again. And the first few times I was like, what did I do? Have I said something? Until the penny dropped. When you danced, when you lived, because it's who you are, it's your passion, and you shone that light out there, they all said, actually,
I don't like that girl.
And it's also sad because the industry makes us feel like there's not enough space for all of us. If you go into an audition and somebody looks like you, in the back of our heads, if you're a person of colour, in the back of your head, it's like, it's only me or you.
Yeah.
So they initiate that kind of contest.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, but once that penny dropped, that's when I was like, yeah, this is the biggest, almost most important lesson that I've learned from training and coming out early, that if you ain't got no one to hate on, feel free to hate on me. Yeah. Like Cat Williams said, go on and act like my hair ain't luxurious when you know it is, bitch. Like, because they're not going to say well done. They're not going to say, wow. They're going to be like, oh, so you got to hear that, oh, so, as the compliment that it actually is.
That's tough, man, because I don't know, as much as people might not see this online, I feel like I'm too sensitive and too empathetic to...
But babes, that's why our chosen family is so important. That's why tribe is so important, because people, for me, that's how I tell apart the artists, the real artists, from, I don't know what y'all doing here.
Yeah.
Because why would you not want us all to win? Why is me winning, you not winning? And one of my favorite things is to see people winning. I don't even have to be a friend. I don't even have to like you. There are people that I trained with. I don't speak to them because I don't like how they conduct themselves. They don't respect people. They're bullies. However,
if I see you winning, it's a parade.
Get it. Because we must win. Because the art must rise up.
Yeah. I mean, I personally had the blessing of seeing you win time and time again, watching you in Cats on West End. Little Shop of Horrors.
Wait for my hips back. If you see them,
you ain't gonna get them back.
Tell them, Little Shop of Horrors.
You're not gonna get them back. Little Shop of Horrors. And I think for me, the proudest moment, which in theory shouldn't be because she's on Netflix now, that's like the proudest moment for me.
Well, I guess socially it seems to, people would say that's the most.
This is it.
Last job.
For me, some of the proudest moments are, when we've just been sat together, just having a kiki, But I guess as far as like career highlights are concerned, watching you in The Witcher on Netflix, just seeing that you on that screen, seeing all the conversations that we had, seeing all the BTS that you post on your social media, it just makes sense because like the person that I know has always been like main characters there, but I'm watching Cassie. And not because you're trying to grab attention, but just because it's an attraction thing. It's just like
it's an energy thing.
Frequency is pulling me that way. Yeah. Just because you vibrate so
I think the audience connects with the energy of like how much I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah.
And I think it's that.
Even in Mamma Mia, it was the same thing. You was at the back.
At the back of the back. Babes, my first job, Cats the Musical, I kept getting told off because I played Cassandra, who's an all-brown cat who's supposed to be in the back of the back. Some people call her Poo Poo Cat because of the colour of the... I said, how dare you? She's an Egyptian sphinx. And I used to get in trouble for pulling focus. And I'll be sat there at the front of the stage like... To the point where by the end of the run, I used to get notes like, you're not allowed to move when you go and sit down there because you're drawing attention.
Wow.
And all it was is my energy of just like, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. I'm living my dreams.
How has that experience, especially going from musical theatre, but then also the exposure that you got from being in The Witcher, how has that changed how you think and feel about yourself? And I guess how you're perceived? It's
been really integral to my growth, actually, because I wonder if this is too vulnerable. Avoidant.
Real conversations about life and creativity.
When I went to the premiere for season 3 of The Witcher, it became really, 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 really important to me. Like looking back now, it was so important to me that my mum, my dad, and my brother were there. Like almost obsessively important. Now that I look back, I didn't notice it at the time. And they weren't giving out tickets like that. I worked real hard. Some people who were in it didn't get an invite. I had my mom, dad, my brother there with me.
Wow.
I did this whole thing where I was like taking them out. My mom was buying a dress. I was getting them jewelry. It was just like I don't know. For me, it was almost feeling like a thank you because you lot are the reason why, all of them.
Yeah.
And rest in peace, Auntie Wendy. You're a big part of that too, girl. We love you, girl. They're a huge, integral part of getting me here, right? And so it's so important. I need them there to celebrate with me. And we were there and I'd organised it so that we could have a family photo. And I can really see it now. Like I'm reaching out, Mom, Dad, my brother's coming in. And as I'm there, like smiling, I could hear in the back of my head, like this child's voice or something, like my inner child voice being like, oh, maybe they'll be proud of me now.
Ooh. Ooh.
And almost to myself, I was like, excuse me? What did you say? Oh yeah, maybe they'll be proud of me now. Is this why you're doing this?
You clocked that was the underlying.
Is that why you've been doing this? I thought it was for you. You love it. Yeah, I love it. But like also, babes, my world starts spinning. And you'll see the pictures. Beautiful picture.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was a moment as well, because I realised that's actually one of the first times that all of us, I come from a split home, so all of us have had a photo together. It was like so many moments, just like...
Too much.
So that actually started the journey of me like reclaiming my art and why I'm really doing it. And now I know it's for me. It's always been about healing. It's always been like, I love that feeling of when you tell a story and somebody feels something and maybe they get something about themselves more, or it starts a conversation, or I love that. So it's never not been about that. I didn't know there was just also an added layer. And like you were saying earlier, like, you know, I'm proud of all of your jobs, but like, you know, I guess socially, like The Witcher would be like the most, what would you call it?
Prominent, like,
and the
notable.
Gag is, and this is not even a jib at you, by the way. You're one of the closest people in my life. You've not had time to see all of it.
Oh.
So people are celebrating me for getting this job because of how it looks in society. Nobody's actually watched the art and turned around and been like, you've already done something there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, people are watching it, people are enjoying it, and they tell me and all this stuff. But I mean, like,
the stuff that they don't, it's like the chunk. Because like you say, like
the people who came on the journey.
I've seen you go through so many transitions and phases and done so many jobs. But even what I've seen is just small in comparison to what every day feels like for you, you know? And so...
And bear in mind, I've probably said this to you before, on stage or TV or film, I promise you, because I know what I feel inside, I've not got up to a quarter of my capacity when it comes to acting, dancing or singing. I'm telling you that right now. And I'm taking responsibility for that because that's on me, on how much I can pour into it.
Love that.
And sometimes you look back at work and I'm like, yes, I'm getting there. I can see the progress and stuff like that. But in the back of my head, I was like, I know what I'm capable of. Nobody, not even you, my closest friends, have heard me sing like I can sing. I've not heard me sing like I can sing. I've not seen me dance like I know I can dance. I've not got to the depth of a character like I know I can, you know, and it's forever training. I love that. It's always going to be training. I always want to get better. I always want to learn more. But there is that feeling like, do you remember in West Side Story, there's this song that it comes up just in my life, in the back of my head. And it comes with like this feeling of like, get ready for something. And the song is Something's Coming, I don't know what it is, but it is gonna be great. And it's got like that.
That was like something.
Anticipation in the air.
Like a bubble. My next question is, what is it like for you as a black woman in a major TV and film production when it comes to hair and makeup? Because we've spoken about body dysmorphia and, you know, expectations and Western beauty standards. Okay. But when it comes to hair and makeup as a black woman, I mean, listen, I've struggled just being blonde alone.
Hello? Like seeing your opportunities change just by changing your hair colour for like a couple of months.
So what is it like for you?
Do you know what's crazy? You say that actually, because I keep thinking about how like I've always wanted to like add some colour a little bit here and there, and I never do because you think about work and casting and how it narrows down. And there's been times where I'm like, I'm getting some braids because I just want a protective hairstyle. And then all of a sudden you're not able to book certain jobs because they can't imagine your hair without another hairstyle. Look at my headshots. Look at my Instagram.
There's so many different variations.
You didn't wear the style that we imagined for the character, and so you didn't get the part. Like, people don't... So many people, like, when you think back to one of my idols, Eartha Kitt, like, how long has this been going on that, like, people of colour who are in the arts and other industries turning up to set with, like, all their hair and makeup stuff because nobody can bloody do it. And, like...
So is that something you've experienced? You've had to do it yourself, like on...
Not this particular job.
Of course.
But, yeah, all the way up.
All the way up?
Hear this. I have not experienced any kind of job where hair and makeup hasn't been an issue at some point. There's not one. And it's the same in auditions. I've had an audition once where I went for an American cop or something, and they were like, she's a crackhead now, and she used to be at the top of her game, and da-da-da-da. And I kind of went, so I didn't like glam it up too much, basic makeup, a little bit rough, like, so that she's like...
Because she's a crackhead.
Because she's a crackhead. And I don't know any personally, but I'm guessing
you know,
they ain't that put together. I don't know. So I go there, you look presentable, and as I'm walking out of the audition, I get a call from my agent, who's so lovely. I'm so lucky, not everybody has great relationships with their agent, but I love my agent. And he was like, they loved what you did. And I'm like, no, I'm not even at the radio station yet.
Tell me more.
Did I nail it? Like, oh my God, yeah, tell me more. They loved it. They were just wondering, like, are you free to go back in again tomorrow? Do the scene. Don't change anything. No notes on the acting. But just, like, wear a bit more makeup, a bit more glam. And, like, because obviously, like, it's American audience, so they like it a bit.
But she's a crackhead.
1, she's a crackhead. 2, y'all can't imagine makeup. Y'all can't look at my headshot. You want me to come back tomorrow to do the same? You didn't even add no acting notes. I'm getting tested on my acting here. And for so many, especially women, but always people of colour, it becomes about everything else. If you're a woman, you didn't get the lead part because you're 2 inches taller than the guy. If you're any person of colour, you might be 2 shades too dark, 2 shades too light. You're too skinny, now you're too fair. Now you're too muscular, now you're not femme enough. Like, I get this thing that apparently I give off an energy that I'm going to be all right.
What do you mean?
We gonna be all right.
Hey.
Because it's the truth. It's the truth.
But in what sense?
So I've connected the dots. I used to get acting notes that, like, we're not believing your vulnerability because I have this feeling that, like, you're going to be all right. So I've had an audition. I broke down in tears and playing. It was for a horror film. And I broke down and she looked at me. She was like, wow, that was really good. And I made that face. I went, well, tell your face. I'm thinking, why is she looking at me like that? She went, wow, that was really good. And I, like you, I just... And she went, I really liked that. It's just because I was watching you and you're breaking down, but I just had this feeling like, yeah, but she's going to be okay. Right, at first, that was my response. Over the years, again, in hindsight, I've learned it's a reflection of my natural energy in real life. I'm looking around like, y'all don't see that I need help? No, you're giving off the vibe that you got everything together, it's all right and everything. You're giving off the vibe, like, even if you're in a struggle, it's going to be all right, so.
That is wild to me because while it might be true, it says to me that you'd rather see that I think that I need you than for me to sit in what I know to be true, which is, yes, I will be all right and I'm going to deliver the best I possibly can.
And there you go. You see the intersections of race and sex there. As women, how do they want us to be? But I am broken. When you watch horror films, what do you usually get? It's the white blonde lady in the white shirt. They pour the water on her. How did my top get wet. We used to play that game. Do you remember? We used to run through the house and be like, it's a horror film. How often do we get cast as women as just the sounding board for the lead guy to be like, but what are you going to do? It was that. She couldn't see me as a woman of color, as a woman, in that space because you're not broken enough. You're not.
Right.
How are we going to save you? What do we do in your life if you don't need saving? And I've had people say that in relationships. I've had people be like, I didn't approach you because you just give off this energy like you don't need nothing. Am I supposed to be here like, I need you to pay my bills? Somebody came up to me about like, I didn't come and talk to you because you're just there dancing, enjoying yourself. You're not like looking at anybody trying to make eye contact, get a drink. Like, what am I supposed to do for you? Come and say hello. Like,
I don't know how I feel about that. That frustrates me because obviously we understand that is complete projection.
It's like when you hear women saying, oh, you're bossy. Because if it's a man, you're assertive.
Right.
You're too strong.
Exactly.
I was out with Chippo, who you interviewed yesterday, and one of our beloved friends was like, oh, you know, when I first met you, I was like, oh, God, she's so strict and like, she's really strong and aggressive. And like, we get that all the time. Our power, the power of melanin it takes up space.
Yeah.
Chippo is a pint-sized lady. The power of the melanin in her DNA. If you don't plant your feet and get ready... It will boulder you over.
Pocket rocket.
But match it. Match the energy, isn't it? Everybody, you want her to come down to your poo-poo energy. Match it. Step it. Even my own mother said you are too strong for anybody to be in a relationship with.
What does that mean? Like,
you're a woman and you can take care of yourself.
What is that? I don't know how I feel about
Not take care of myself
man.
like this. I ain't got no up about the tricks. But you know what I mean?
But yeah, the reality is you don't necessarily need, or at least, and do you want to project that? Do I want to be projecting that I need?
To the point where you'll hear sometimes older ladies say it and it turns out it's true, which is even more sad, especially if people want to get into heterosexual relationships, because now we're looking at the gender norms. And it will be like, oh, you have to pretend like you can't open the jar because it makes the man feel needed. I was like, at this point, we're just fucking... Wow. We're pandering to him. I think that's patronising. Gag is, I did it and it works. Oh, Jesus. Oh.
Earth is
I told you I got my Wi-Fi the other day. I was like, sir, you've left all the wires there and I don't know how to do them. And it was actually the truth. But I was leaning into like the vulnerable side of me that usually I'd be scared to show. I don't know, can you just... The way this man jumped up to fix the things, I said, that's really sad, but they were right. So you need me to pretend. You need me to pretend so your ego can be boosted, but I'm lying to you. That's a lie.
And how long are you willing to lie?
And my thing is like, the more I respect somebody, the less I can lie, literally.
Yeah.
You know that about me, and I'm a Sag. Last day of Sagittarius, so we be blunt with stuff. But because to me, it is literally, it's equal. The more I respect you, the more of my honesty I have to offer to you. And the less I respect you, the more silence there is. I'm not even going to speak up to... I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to speak up. So the idea that, to me, that actually feels like I'm disrespecting a gentleman, regardless of their sexual orientation, if I diminish myself to make them feel strong. Yeah, because the truth is like, when all of us step into our divine energy, we're all much stronger than we think. We don't need to do this whole thing of like pulling people down. You know, all of our stories always get intersectional like this, because earlier we were talking about in the industry. Don't be fucking showing people up. Oh, Cassie over there stealing the scene. It won't be stealing the scene if you're putting in the work.
This is it.
Everybody put in the work.
Wish.
And I'm not here putting in the work so I can steal your scene. I'm putting in the work because I am an all or nothing person and I love my job. So if I'm here for 150% every single day. And when I'm not there, I'm off.
As everyone should be.
And I'm recharging.
Again, I think it's complete projection, but I think it's interesting that you've managed to find these similarities from your relationships.
My brain does that.
To your family, to your work. Like,
and realizing actually the work, the inner work, is the artistic work. It's all intersectional. So that's why it was important for that woman to tell me that thing about vulnerability. She planted that seed, and then in my relationship, somebody said I couldn't approach you because you don't see vulnerability. And then you start putting the pieces together. You're like, it's all connected. It is not a coincidence, I believe, that I got the role of Philippa at a time in my life where I've been working, in my mind, I've been working to get where I want to get to, which is like a character that I can dig into and really like create layers and a whole universe for them. I've been working on that since I was 2, going on 3 when I was walking on the tippy toes, like I told you. So even at Urdang, I was like, just wrap this up. I need to be on the stage. Like I need
Philippa.
to, right?
Someone like Philippa.
Philippa came. I don't know if I've told everybody this. If you believe in manifestations, I think it's about an energy thing.
Absolutely.
Everything's vibrations.
Vibration.
I was walking around my house. I'd done some auditions. It was one of those ones where it's like, do you remember we used to get 5 auditions a week before the strikes?
Hey.
No, it's lucky if it's 5 a year. Anyway, so it was in one of those times I was just churning out the auditions. My agent was nailing. I was like, all of these, Marvel, this. I was like, all of these are so exciting. Not getting any of them. All good feedback, not getting any of them. My agent called me. He just felt the vibe. Gave me this like pep talk. Like, girl, you just got to find the right place and it's all going to fall into place. And it's just, you're doing everything right. Just keep going. Just chug. And I came off the phone and it was a really good pep talk. So he helped me. But I was a bit like, this is getting This has been my dream since I'm 2 years old. Yeah. And I kind of walked around my house and I looked up and it wasn't even disrespectful. It was like this energy of like, I looked up, I don't know whether to God, source, the universe, my ancestors, I don't know who. I looked up, I was like, I'm a leading lady and you know that. Get it done. And I went off to make a cup of tea. This is during the lockdowns, like the second round of lockdowns. And that was happened to be also the first time that I'd sat down still enough to know enough about myself to be like, wait a minute, I'm not an ally to the community. I am the community. It was a very interesting time for me because it wasn't even like I had blocked that or didn't know about. I just simply had focused so much on my art and that it just hadn't registered. I was like, wait a minute, do I like girls sometimes as well? Have I always been like a girl sometimes? Am I bisexual? I'm pansexual. I didn't even bloody know. So babes, I had that conversation. I'm a leading lady, get it done. I remember sitting on my yoga mat, you know where I sit. Yoga mat with the radiator behind you. I love a little corner of the room.
I know.
I love it. Sat there. Am I pansexual? Oh my God. Get a phone call from my agent. We've got an audition for you. It's a bit weird. I hope you don't mind. Like, we just need to ask you, what's your sexual orientation? You don't have to say if you don't want to. Never experienced that before.
Interesting.
I literally went mad because I've just sat here and I've done some self-reflection. I think at the time, bisexual made more sense to me when actually I'm drawn to energies.
Yes.
So it's pansexual. But at the time I said, because I'm bisexual. And he was like the first person that I'd said it out loud to. And I think for me, I was a bit like, huh?
I just said it.
And he just went, oh, okay, cool. I'll let you know. Sent me the audition. It's all code named, so I didn't really register. I flew to Prague because I was doing an advert. Didn't really have a lot of time to get this audition thing. Oh, God. Set up a little, the makeshift self-tapes in your... Maybe I'll release this tape as well one day because I've got it on my phone. Set up a little makeshift where you put all the things on to make the tripod and the lights and you bend the lamps of the... And I did a scene by myself, in a room by myself, recorded the other lines in afterwards.
Oh, wow.
And I really just had that energy of like, I've just got to get this because in a minute I'm off to do this job. Like there's no other time. There's no time for dilly-dallying or overthinking all the conditioning stuff we were saying. Didn't have time to come in because I was just, I don't have time. And it just, I can't explain it. I was just in flow. They just gave enough information that I knew this character. I didn't know how I knew her. I didn't know what I was auditioning for. So you weren't able to go research stuff.
There was nothing.
And I tapped into a part of me, an energy that I don't think I knew about yet. This kind of stillness and a bit more sure of themselves and a bit more, you know me, I'm not still. And I just felt it there. There's a Philippa vibe that just like comes into me. I think it's mine, but I didn't have access to it before. And I got the job from that. And it wasn't even like rounds. It was that.
Literally just that one,
And then I looked at Vimeo, which is where I used to have all of my self-tapes and realized, I've auditioned for this show like 4 or 5 times. Because of the code names, it's not registering. You just chug.
Yeah.
Audition, do it. Audition, do it. And you just keep it moving because you have to. You have to have a thick skin. I can't hold on to all of these. So I realized looking back, I'd auditioned for wench number 1, maid number, and it was slowly building. So sometimes with these auditions, you think, nothing came of that. You don't know.
Planting the seeds. It's funny because we had a conversation recently about like all the skills that I've learned up until this point to allow this to happen.
Looks great in here.
I mean, I'm proud of me.
I love it.
I'm definitely proud
No, you
of
must
me.
be.
Because, you know,
should be.
you come out of training thinking that you can only dance, sing and act. But it's like, no, these skills, they overlap and they intertwine and they allow you to be Philippa, but not just Philippa. It's like, I'm going to tap into something that, you know, isn't tangible necessarily, but it's there because I've gone through that, you know, the overlapping of the training and taking my skills and taking little parts of that skill and taking little parts of that skill and, you know, doing this, you know?
Yeah, bringing all your information, all your experience together to create a layered character.
Which makes it unique.
So everything I've learned from dance is a huge part of that character. It's such a physical character, how she holds herself, how she uses physicality as body, because body language talks and she uses it intentionally. You know, how she uses her voice, quite like Eartha Kitt. You know how Eartha Kitt would almost eat the words and it's tangible and you can feel it. And it's people who live life as if they can feel all the atoms in the air. And yeah, if you've been here for 300 years, you know a lot of stuff and some of it's not interesting and some of it's, I'm just here to play and I'm just here to, you know, when you have control over your own energy and other people's energy. So I learned so much from the characters that I play, but I've never learned anything as much as I've learned from this character. I literally want to be her friend. I literally want to be a friend.
Forever. Is there anything about the industry that you're currently in that you would change? Anything at all?
I think it's kind of a little bit, we love a full circle moment. It's a little bit back to what you were saying earlier about, I'm sure it's like this in every industry, you know, like, you hear about kids who are like, oh, my parents said, you should be an engineer, doctor, a lawyer. Like every job has a value to us in society. Even here, like some of my most valuable jobs were things like when I went on, I was an understudy for Nancy in Oliver Twist at the Leicester Curve. And I went on for her in a special performance where they turn up the lights and people from old people's homes and people with physical disabilities can come. And I was able to connect with a woman who was 91 years old, I found out later, singing, "If you are lonely, then you will know when someone needs you, you love them so I won't betray it." And that little 91-year-old was leaning on the stage like this on the front row. And I saw she was a baby. And I remembered when I was 5 years old and my dad took me to Guys and Dolls and he told me that I was like this on the stage. And all the people were like, look at the kitty. Like she was me and I was her and I was...
Wow.
And I sang that song and I ran off. And I'm not joking. I collapsed, not like faint. Nobody was in the wings. I fell like in emotion. And it was a happy, sad. It was almost like, this is the feeling that I've trained for. This is... why I knew when I was little and I said, I want to be a choreographer. That's what I was talking about. That thing, you know. But our society will be like, look at you. You're somewhere. People were like, oh, have you been in anything I know? That thing. You don't know about that performance in Leicester, but that made a huge difference. That means so much to me. And this job means so much to me. And there's so many pros and I'm so glad it's happened. But we didn't get taught things about like, what happens when you're in a contract that can renew? What happens as perhaps you move up the ladder in terms of, you know, in capitalism and art, moving up the ladder means up to like more money for you or more like bigger money projects and stuff like that. So in your brain, you're like, I'm winning. And people are looking at you like, you're winning. We didn't even watch it. We don't even know if you were good, but you're winning. That's a bit of this, you know. You didn't even watch it. I could be rubbish. No, you're winning because it's something that we recognize as, you know, like as a footballer, you're on a team that it's like when we're deciding what's good.
Yeah.
And actually, it's learning that's not actually true.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, being in this job with the strikes and the pandemonias and stuff like that in between, there's been a lot of downtime. And it's actually been like the least amount of actual physical acting that I've ever done in my life. Or the least amount of dancing or singing that I've ever done since those 2 years when I was walking around on my tippy toes. So there's parts of me that feel a bit creatively... And then when I'm there, I'm on set and I'm being the character, I'm like, this is it!
Whoa.
It's just the...
Flame on.
Like now, I got to wait, you know? It's that feeling.
Yeah.
And I think as artists, like we sometimes underestimate that, yes, our hobby and our passion became our job, but we have to do this, otherwise we get sick.
Yeah.
We have to create, whether it's for people, whether people see it, whatever it is. And I'm not doing enough of my own creating in my own time. being a very good little actress, like we were trained to do, waiting for people to call me. I don't know when they're going to call me, but when they call me, I'm going to be ready. And that's good. But also in the meantime.
So is that something you would change in terms of like teaching other actors or even creatives in general that you are creative and so create? Don't wait for your agent, as lovely as they may be. Don't wait for the casting director.
Do that, and this is actually for us. I think for mental health, for physical health, for spiritual health, that's actually probably where our focus should be, because I think all the other stuff kind of comes with or because of that as well. So I'm not saying like, oh, ignore this and stop doing really well. Like we still have to, bills have to be paid. Like we still have to do all of that stuff, but it's just remembering, like, even if it's, you go home and you write a rap tonight.
Yeah.
You go home and you do some poetry. Yeah. Even if it's like, I'm just trying to challenge myself that when I walk down the street, like, why am I shy to sing out loud? I'm not out here singing for you to be like, that's good. I'm singing because I need, and just learning to be a bit more like that, or just... The other day I was looking after my brother's cats and you have to play with this bloody boring. So I put some classical music on and I danced a bit and I was like, this is what I'm talking about. I don't do enough of, I'm an artist, I have to be creating art all the time. I've just been like, just let me know when you need me and I will do the art as you like it.
Was there ever a moment where you second guessed your career? Like, maybe this isn't the thing for me?
Interestingly, I feel like more so because of like lockdowns and strikes. Because I think we all had so much time to like sit down and, like I was saying, like reflecting over your whys, like, was I doing all of this because I need them to be proud? Was I, reflecting on the whys and like, and it's kind of connected to what we just said before, because I think it was less about like, I don't want to do this job anymore, and more like, I'm an artist that has to create, otherwise I will die. How about that? How about that?
Literally.
I will.
We'll just turn to dust.
I'm melting. I'm like a candle in the wind. She gone. And I was like, that's the bit that I don't have to do. It doesn't have to be my job. And I had to ask myself questions like, would I be happy on a soapbox in Hyde Park singing a song? No, but genuinely, like, and I'm getting to, and I'm much further than I was. I get to a place where it's like, no, the only thing I have to do, I don't have to do anything, but the only thing I have to do because of it's who I am, is make art. And actually who sees it and where it is isn't as important to me as I thought. And I'm hearing my peers being like, and if I could just get this award, and if I could just, actually that external validation, now that I've unraveled the parent one, I didn't know that, I wasn't really seeking, like, I don't really need my peers to say that I'm good, because I can objectively look at work and be like, is that quality or not? I work on that, I work on that.
Good. And that might not have been as good, but...
Do you get?
Good.
So I don't even need that. I don't need that validation. I don't need the higher ups to come and be like, you're amazing. I know when I'm working well. I know what it feels like to be in flow. I know when I'm telling the story that you need me to tell. Do you get me? And not in like a arrogant, like, I know what's good. In just like, it's cool. Like, I don't need you to be like, well done, and blow hot air. No, I just want to work well and work.
How do you overcome that? And I'm asking genuinely, because this is stuff that like I'm dealing with in terms of, imposter syndrome, dealing with, wanting to make parents and elders and family and friends and training academies proud. And so, I'm asking genuinely how do you do it? How do you do it, girl?
So funny, as you asked that question, I just started to get emotional. I think this year I fell in love with somebody who got sick, and for a long time we were very nervous and we thought it might be terminal. And to see somebody who's actually younger than me like grapple with life and see like people around them not really change the way, like nothing changes when you might be going, nothing changes when time might be up. Everybody still acts how they want to act. Everybody still puts their pressures on you. Everybody wants you to live like this and live like this and live like this. But when you die, they're not going with you. Interesting. And one of my friends was like, do you know what? I was recently thinking like, I might actually be polyamorous, but I could never actually do it because I wouldn't want anybody to know. And I was like, how sad that we all still live for all of us. All living for everybody else. I got that. I've been a doctor for 45 years. Why? Because your mum wanted to. Where's your mum? Where's your mum? She's living a dream in heaven or something. I don't know. But like, and now you're miserable. It's not weighted. It's not weighted.
Who's this for?
It's not weighted.
I'm definitely learning this. I'm learning this now. And it's similar to you.
You get the award, is sitting there collecting dust. Do you feel better about yourself now? No, because we haven't been encouraged to do the inner work, and we keep thinking it's coming from outside. It's not coming. If you don't think you're any good, I promise you're not any good. Period. Done. Doesn't even matter. People can tell you the greatest thing in the whole world, and it might even be true, but if you don't believe it, it's not true.
I mean, even when I spoke to Chippo, she said the same thing. She was like, she gets a lot of like, well done and a lot of pats on the back, but not enough. Do you need anything? Are you okay? How can I help? You know? And so you're right. I think I'm just digesting this now as we're speaking. There is a lot of, you need to make yourself proud. You get me? Like, you need to be proud for yourself, which I think if someone was to ever ask me, Tash, are you proud of yourself? I would say yes. But then in the past like 2-3 weeks, just before we went through the audition stuff the other day, I found myself crying on 2 separate occasions.
And what?
Like, vigorously crying, Cass. Because I was watching Drag Race and RuPaul said to one of the drag queens, he said to Queen Kong, I'm very proud of you. And I just bawled.
Stop it.
Bawled. And I was
Stop
like,
it.
Cass, uncontrollably. And I was like, what the fuck is what is happening?
What wound have you just
What
poked
is happening? And I was just like, oh my gosh.
And it's like pouring out, right?
I had to take a moment. And then it happened again the next week. And I was like, oh.
Another moment like that or something else?
Say a similar moment. And I found myself getting frustrated because I was kind of like, oh, I can see what's happening here. I know what it is. It's like, I've got this thing that I want someone to be proud of me. And as much as you told me you're proud of me, my mum's told me she's proud of me. You know, there is something that
you deep down, you know the one person that you're waiting for, innit?
Father. And myself.
And the myself one is actually the only one we're supposed to be striving for.
This is it.
All of us, our inner children, are trying to fix that original problem, that original wound. And we do it with the relationships. We start dating our parents in like the energies because you're trying to... And it's like, interestingly, in our family, we never used to use the word proud very much. And it wasn't really for bad reason. It was more, I told you this before, that my dad said to us, like, the actual meaning of proud is like when you've had some part to play in the person's win or success. Right. And so it's funny, I kind of hear the phrase in a different way, and it gives me the ick a little bit sometimes because we overuse it. And you'll do something that has nothing to do with me, and I wouldn't in my life. Oh my God, so proud of you, babes. You can meet somebody that you don't even know, be like, we're so proud of what you're doing. And I just always hear like, apparently it means that you had some part. You didn't have no part to play. So I use, you should be so proud of yourself. Yeah. You should be so proud because you did it. And my dad was saying, you know, maybe parents can say that easily because they definitely had some part to play in everything you've ever done.
Cut them out.
But realistically, like,
you should be proud of yourself.
I wouldn't really say that to you because it's you. You should be proud of yourself, Tash. And I do say that. But this year, I've used that word more than I've ever used it in my life. Wow. And saying it to like me and saying it to my chosen family, like, because like you said, like looking from 15-year-old, when we 15 years ago met each other.
Down the road and back again.
You get like, I'm so proud of how far we've come and how much as a group, as a community, we all strive to like keep getting better internally and not from a place of like, because we're not enough. So we just like, we love to grow. We love to evolve. We love to share our experiences and get better. And I'm really proud of us.
Yeah, same. What does success look like for you now?
It looks like contentment. It looks like rest. It looks like creative fulfillment. It looks like community. It looks like getting to be authentically myself in every aspect of my life, which means sometimes you have to curate the environments. Yeah. You know, check yourself, have discernment about where you're going, where you spend your time and energy. Yeah, it looks like moments like this. Do you get what I mean? With my chosen family, where we're just talking and chatting and laughing and dancing, and nature's involved in my success. Getting to be around nature. The sun is involved in my success. Child, the sun is there.
I mean, the sun is involved in my survival.
Put it number one on the list. Because the vitamin D here. How have we actually made it?
I don't know.
Because we were born here.
I don't know. This country.
What is wrong with this country? It's very serious.
It's not conducive to me vibrating at the frequency that I need to vibrate to be the best version of myself.
Success
looks like the sun.
Success looks like the sun. It looks like getting asked. Oh, wouldn't that be a dream to not have to audition all the time? Getting asked to do creatively fulfilling jobs that allow you financial security and to build hereditary wealth for your children. And just to relax and not be like,
on edge.
God, I hope I get it. Yeah. You know that feeling? We know that feeling. The white ace days. Yeah. Cut that out. That's a chapter of our life you don't never need to hear about.
For context, I've known Cassie for a very, very long time. With the good comes the bad and the ugly. And we have been through thick and thin. And when I tell you the thin was thin, I don't think we will ever divulge into what the White Ace days were. But if we do, just know that they were thin.
He'll put that behind the paywall. Wait till he gets Patreon.
Yeah, wait.
Then you'll get it.
Through the paywall. So stay tuned for the White Ace days. But it was...
Stay tuned.
It was tough.
When you make him bigger than Joe Rogan, we'll give you a hell of a lot of stories.
But we made it. We made it.
We made it through the wilderness.
I want to know, what would be your dream role? Aside from what success looks like, what would be like your dream role?
Do you know what's so funny? Like, I literally just almost burst it because I know straight away what it is. I almost burst it out and I stopped myself. And it's almost like, is it because of evil eye or like something?
You don't have to.
No, it's something just literally made me be like, it's mine. My precious. This is literally a role that, like, the other day I just randomly Googled this person's name and wrote biopic film because there isn't one yet. And my dream role is to play this person in the biopic film of their life. It's just somebody that I love so much. And when I Googled it, there was like an Instagram page and like this thing about a film that's being made in America. And it's big. I don't know if it's really happening, if it's a big film or a small film, babe. The way my heart, I started crying. And honestly, that's how I know that either like I'm destined or supposed to tell this particular story in my particular way.
Yeah.
Because of how I relate to it in my own life and how I think it can heal people. And the only other time that I felt that, which helped me to know like I have to do this, was when we were at Urdang. We were in our second year shows and I was playing Mrs. Lovett, and it was at that point I was saying to you that I'd got to that like impatience-ness of like, I just want to be a professional. And not in a way like I don't have any more to train, because like I told you, like training is forever. It was just that like, I gotta get on the stage. I can't do this anymore. So I loved going to rehearsals because that to me felt like I'm a professional. Yeah. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Was I going to classes? Was I going to ballet at 8:45 in the morning?
Do you expect me to?
I wasn't. And that's not fair, is it? We've given you the lead role in the school musical. And you're not going to any of your other lessons except for the rehearsals. Professional. And that was it in my brain, in my child brain. That made sense because, the professional stuff, I'll do it. Yeah, you're not being professional by showing up. You need to show up for everything.
Yeah.
And I think I was brought into a room by the head of musical theatre or something like that. And she expressed to me that some of the other girls in the cast had complained because Cassie doesn't come to other classes and you gave her a lead role and and that's not fair and blah blah blah. And she literally looked at me and was sad as well. She had like a, because everyone knew I was loving it and I was ready to do it real good. I was so dedicated to that. I thought it was Viola Davis on the stage right now. Like I was like, this is my national theatre performance. I was so dedicated already. And she was like, unfortunately, like I'm gonna have to make an example of you. And I remember like I wasn't going to classes. I thought it was a bad girl. So I was sat there in that meeting like while she was telling me the story. She's like, unfortunately, I'm going to have to make an example of you. So we're going to have to take the role of Mrs. Lovett away from you.
Face crack.
Never in my life have I cried so hard or so fast.
Ooh.
I didn't even know it was coming.
And in front of people?
No, it's just me and her in the room. Oh, but yeah,
Still publicly?
Sorry if that was so loud to the listeners. But
oh my gosh.
Babes, it was that loud and that's why I had to do it. It just, like that cry you said about the wound. It just came out. And it wasn't until then that it wasn't until then that I really deeply understood how important all of this is to me. And there have been checkpoint Charlies in my life like that to remind me like, they were taking away a part in a school play.
In the grand scheme.
I nearly threw myself off the top of the building. My career.
It's not worth it anymore.
It's not worth it anymore. And I think I went home and I was so mad. Look, if I'm not coming to all the classes and now you've taken away this rehearsal, am I coming back to the school? Like,
well, and this is where we bonded.
Because I'm from Hackney.
This is where we bonded.
And my dad said to me, I think I'm going to paraphrase it, but he said, no, you're going to go back into those rehearsals and you're going to be the best ensemble member you could ever be, because they demoted me from the lead to crazy person number 5. Not even number 1. He says, you're going to go back and be the best ensemble member you can be. And that's what I did. it was really hard. My ego was like walking back into that room and everybody looking like, and all the girls who had grasped me up being like,
I mean,
haters gonna hate.
yeah, and this is it. Haters will hate.
Babes,
And I mean, I've got my own opinions on that.
That's when stealing the scene began. That's when it began. Because I went and I made sure, and you know who you are, baby. It was nothing against you, just so you know. I won't shout you out in here because it's embarrassing. But I remember being like, they will never lay eyes on her in this.
Yeah.
Or in this show. I don't have a single line. I don't have nothing to do by myself. But when I tell you, the whole audience will be watching me. And all I did is commit. Again, not steal. Scene stealing is not like, I got to get in front of you. That's a different energy. Where actually we look at you in the scene, we're like, what are you trying to do? Why are you desperate? Like, people don't know. You commit 150% to the world and the character and the dedication. I remember they had us as like ushers bringing people in on the show, and we're supposed to look like we're from Bedlam, and I had like black. I remember getting the black suit and being like, yes. I was wearing like a Victorian dress. I was like, this is so cool, man. I'm a professional. And we come outside of the auditorium. You're supposed to like pick a couple of people and be like, calm, go inside. And again, obviously, I'm going to take it to the nth degree because otherwise, why am I here?
Yeah.
I don't get it. If you're not doing 150, like, why did you come? And so people were coming and being like, excuse me, can you come with me? As themselves. Oh, I was so livid. I came out of that hall like, knocked the doors open.
Crazy person number 5.
Crazy person number 5. You gonna remember number 5. I went up to this girl, I don't know who she was. This blonde girl, grabbed her by the hair, sniffed her hair like, and started pulling her into the auditorium. I said, if you want an usher, you're gonna get an usher, but the usher is from Bedlam and I need the story to make sense. I was grabbing my
50%, almost borderline overcommitment.
Almost too much.
Almost too much. But I wouldn't say it's too much.
But it's not. Because you asked for an immersive experience.
Yeah.
So we're not supposed to walk out as Cassie at school. I'm supposed to be this mad woman from Bedlam, grabbing people in to take them into the madhouse. And that's how she would do it. There was no like, oh, I'm embarrassed or like, da, da, da. It was just like, this is my job. And I've been like that since a child. Like, we got to do it proper. And I walked in there and we all stood and all the ensembles like there and the people on the floor, the audience, because it was so we could be higher status. And I just remember being like, at the end of the day, you're another day older. Da-da-dun, dun, da-da-dun. And I just felt, we were in the round as well. I just felt all eyes go.
Yep. The
whole rest of the show, I was that character. I just never snapped out of whether I'm going to this part of the scene, whether you've asked me to pick up a chair and move it there, whether you've asked me to do 2 step clips behind the lead actress. Because I was that character. People were always like, what's she doing over there?
Yeah.
My girl's singing the song over here.
And I'm over.
And that's how it's continued throughout my career.
Wow. That's where it comes from. And I mean, a tough lesson to learn.
Oh,
but
I'm so
I mean,
glad.
grateful
You see,
at the same time.
It's like what we were saying earlier, like hard 3 years, but like those lessons, because actually, it's not fair. It's not fair. We gave you the lead role and you're not coming to the other classes. Obviously, the other kids are going to complain. I mean, get a life. But
that lesson, did you feel that similar, like, when you saw the whole biopic? I mean, I'd rather that you didn't express what the dream role is.
Thanks. But you know it's to play someone in a biopic.
I mean, as much as I would encourage you to speak it into existence, the same way you manifest it.
Yeah, I tell you what, you know what it is, because I tell you all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm very much aware of the evil eye and all of them thing there. You get me?
Which I'm just starting to become aware of, because to me, I'm like, who's got the time to hate on what everybody else... Again, back to the haters, like...
The hateration.
Who's got time?
In the dancery.
Oh, you guys had time to go and complain in the club about... Don't do that.
You got the role because I got demoted.
Oh, imagine doing the role because...
I got demoted. Not because you got promoted, but because someone else got demoted.
No, my ego couldn't handle that worse. My ego couldn't handle that worse.
Make me crazy lady number 6.
I'll be number 6.
Number 6, because I don't want it.
To die.
I don't want it. Number 6. Cass, honestly, I can do this forever.
Babes, can we do another 2 hours?
But I've got one question for you, and I'm going to ask every single person who comes on this.
Oh.
The question is, what is the one thing you want the world to know about you? If you can stand on top of a mountain and let the world know one thing, what would it be?
That's such a good question. Gosh, Tash, it's gonna be a question that I carry with me for the rest of the week to really dig into it. Part of me's like, you know what? I'm just a little sunshine baby. I'm just a little musical theatre baby. I love the sunshine. I am love. In physical form, as I think we all are. Like, I am dance. I am song. I am musical theatre. You know, I am acting. I am storytelling. I am art, just as I believe all of us are. And I'm really starting to, the more I see that in myself, the more I'm seeing it in every single person that I interact with. Like, there are days when I wake up like, humans, man, earth is ghetto. I want to leave. And then again, my therapist was like, no, the earth's not ghetto. We're making it. I don't even sing that song anymore because this place is paradise. And we forget that we are love. And separation is an actual scientific illusion. Like the atoms that make me up. We spoke about this the other day. The atoms that make me up and the atoms in between you and I. There's no space in between us. So I really am you and you really are me. And if I'm love and you're love, like what is going on in the world? Yeah. Look after the children. Oh, you got me on one now. What about the kids?
Think about the children.
Are we serious? Are we serious? God, I've literally gone from, I'm just an empty little baby to, oh, who's heard of Sekhmet? Who's heard of Sekhmet, the Egyptian goddess?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm her. In one form, she's like Bastet, which is like a woman with a cat face, and it connects. That's like the character that I played in Cats. It's her. That's where the beginnings of Philippa started. That's where the beginning of this dream to play that woman started. Like, and that goes as far as like Bastet becomes Sekhmet, which is the face of a lion, or their sisters, or one of the same. Sekhmet got sent down to Earth to have a little look at the humans. She said,
Charlie,
you see how these people are treating each other? Have you seen what they're doing to the planet and the children? She saw red. She started scrapping, babe. She started ending everyone. And I have that feeling in me when I see how we treat each other, how we're treating the children of the world, how we treat our own environment like we're a damn virus. The only animals on the planet that will mess up their own habitat. Like it's embarrassing.
Regressive.
It's genuinely embarrassing.
Regressive.
Like I've told you this before. When they write the history books, history has its eyes on you. When they write the history books, I'm struggling to say that I'm going to be put with the humans. I don't want to go down with y'all.
It's long.
It's embarrassing.
It's long.
The universe is laughing at us. The planet is embarrassed. That's why I want the world to know succinctly. I am a small sunshine baby love, made from love and song and music, and all of us are, and we should all remember that and start loving our inner children more, so maybe we can love the real children of the world more and take care of our place and be nicer to each other. And not even nice, kind. Do you remember when we went into the woods? I'm going to end on this. You're so nice. You're not good, you're not bad, you're just nice. I'm not good, I'm not bad, I'm just right. I'm the witch, you're the world. Like, good, bad, like, no, just be kind to each other. Just be right, just do what's right. You know what's right. How do you sleep at night not doing what's right?
Cassie Clare,
my darling love. That wasn't succinct.
Love you.
I love you so much. Let's
beyond words can even describe.
You're literally one of my favourite human beings on this whole planet.
Like literally. And there ain't many. There ain't many.
There's a handful of y'all.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you
for having me, listening to
my
ramblings.
Thank you for sharing everything that is going on in your mind, your weird and wonderful, creative, beautiful, genius mind. And more importantly, thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend.
Whoa.
Honestly, I love you so dearly. Getting to watch your growth as a person, as an artist, is genuinely one of the joys of my life. I am so proud to be your friend and your sister, and I think you should be so proud of yourself. And I'm really excited because I just know it's going from strength to strength to strength. I don't worry about that. That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's happening. And what I love about my chosen family is I have that feeling again, something's coming. I don't know what it is, but it is gonna be great. And that feeling of like, I can't wait for you, the world, to clock on to some of the stuff that I already know about these talented, amazing human beings, the people that you're interviewing, yourself. Like, when the world is like, oh, so you mean I'm gonna be there with my glass like, I try to tell y'all.
it was always going to happen. Just a matter of time.
Been saying it.
I cannot wait.
I
cannot wait. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. And thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because there's going to be plenty more of this.
Ooh, I'm excited to see it.
Woo!
Wow.